Hey, Rose, welcome into another episode of Building the Program here with Coach KT. Spring break, students are gone, team's still here. It's a beautiful day. We're sitting here on the steps of the library enjoying this beautiful weather, but we missed last week, but you guys had a lot going on, so we decided to go ahead and talk about this week. It's been 2 weeks, Coach. You've had a lot going on, a lot of games, some ups and some downs. I know we'll talk about that, but had your first home game, which was against Roanoke. Didn't come out the way you wanted, but the fan support was unbelievable. Before we get into you guys, talk about really bringing that program to Norfolk Christian on your home court with those fans.
Yeah, it was super exciting. The boys have been looking forward to it all year, and I know we had been talking about how we were going to do a whiteout, and so, we came in thinking that we would have at least a few fans show up, but man, did they pack the gym out, and it was just such a great atmosphere. The fans were feeding off when the boys would make great plays, and then they were just able to help us with a lot of momentum, and it was a really fun space for them to get to compete in on their first home game.
And there's a visual, and I wish I had a picture, and you, of course, would not have seen this, but after, I can't remember if it was that game or another one, but Jackson Gray had a block that won the set for you guys, and he just roared, and the crowd went crazy. So, the support that you got was unbelievable. You dropped that match. I think it was 3-1. Tough one there. Talk about that. You'd played Roanoke before, dropping that match, and then we played Bluefield. We had Bluefield at home as well. That was another one we dropped. I know there was some valleys that you guys were in, and you were trying to get them out. But talk about what you guys had to do to kind of find yourself after those two games.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot with the guys about being resilient and kind of what that looks like, and having mental fortitude, and just being able to overcome things when challenging things happen. And we oftentimes frame it back to life. A lot of times in life, things aren't going to go your way, and it's going to be hard, and you can't really always prevent the hard things that are going to happen, but it's how you answer and how you get back up after you do fall down. So we've really been working on helping them build resiliency in the gym that they can also bring into their lives. And I think that we've been raising the level every single day at practice. That's something that they asked for and that they're being accountable for. And so I think that that's one of the biggest things that we've been doing, is just really focusing on the mental piece of it and overcoming when things do get hard.
Well, and then you went back on the road, which you guys are used to, no strangers to the road, and went to up to Pennsylvania, Arcadia University, faced Hood College in Arcadia. You got back in the win column, a really good match, solid match with you guys against Hood. Talk about that, bouncing back, being able to put together, I think it was 3-1, put together a 4-set win there to bounce back and get back in the win column.
Yeah, we talked to the boys about how, it was a really big thing for them to overcome, because we had a unfortunately long losing streak, and so being able to get back in that win column, even if it just was for one game, it was just kind of a big hurdle that they needed to get past. And one of the things that we've really been focusing on that's allowing us to be more resilient is the communication piece. And against Hood, we saw them communicating more than they ever had all year, and we definitely think that that was one of the biggest pieces of us being able to get back in the win column, and that's something that we've continued to see this week at practice.
Now, I'm not a volleyball guy, but I've learned a lot from you over the years. But you go play Hood, then you've got to bounce right back and play Arcadia. Is there a disadvantage to being that visiting team that has to play the back-to-back against being the home team who gets to break in between the two? Is that tough to come off that win, or do you have that momentum? Describe to me how you keep your team focused and getting right into warm-ups again.
Yeah, I think it's definitely challenging, and it is the home team's advantage to be able to get to have the front end and the back end match instead of being sandwiched in the middle. But that's just kind of part of the game of volleyball at the college level, and we know that we have to be prepared for those things. So yeah, it's definitely easier once you have a win during that first game to come in and have a little bit of momentum, and even a little bit just more adrenaline from the space that you were able to create when you were winning. But yeah, it's definitely challenging, and I just think that we lacked a little bit of discipline in a few things. We had an opportunity to win that game, but honestly, some of the boys on the Arcadia team, shout out to them, just started playing really great defense against us and picking up some good stuff, and so we just couldn't come out with a win.
Well, we did have another positive this week, though, coming from your 3 matches this week. Aaron Campbell, second time for him, third time for the program, National Player of the Week again. Talk about that. Aaron had a rare, as the NCCA even described it, a rare triple-double against, I believe it was Hood, to get you guys the win. But that's a great honor for Aaron again. But talk about that, your program now having 3 times National Player of the Week.
Yeah, it's been huge. I've said from the beginning, we have some really tremendous athletes on the team, and Aaron Campbell is definitely one of them. We make fun of him because he's a little bit older, he's pretty well established in his life, but he takes the game of volleyball more seriously than just about any athlete I've ever come in contact with. And he has been fired up and motivated to do what he can do for the team. And so it was awesome to see him, just be acknowledged. Even if we hadn't been successful maybe as a team, it was great to see that his hard work was recognized. We also, it's even more rare, I think, we against Hood actually had 2 triple doubles. Colby Yawn also had a triple double as well. So they were both really working hard to try and step up and help us get that win against Hood. But yeah, shout out to Aaron because he's been turning it on and being super locked in at practice and in games and stuff. So we were thrilled that we got a 3rd National Player of the Week with the first-year program.
Yeah. And let's talk about Adele Downer too. I mean, he sometimes gets forgotten unless you look in the stat. I mean, you see his play, but you really got to look in his stats and see how well he's doing with digs and things like that. But talk about his play, because number one, I say the guy is flexible. I've seen him dive, jump around. I mean, we all know he can do his flips, but he really has played a big role as a libero. And even on some of the visiting broadcasts, when we're a visitor, their broadcasts, they're calling him out for his play.
Yeah, he is tremendous. There have been so many people that just come up to him after the game and tell him how much of a beast he is, because he's a very talented athlete. He's got a really high drive to be successful and not settle for mediocrity. I think one of the pieces of his game that gets overlooked the most, we were chatting about this, you and I were the other day, his serve receive has been rock solid for us, and that's not really something that you get to see in a traditional stat category, but we stat those things, and he's been tremendous for us, and his ability to remain consistent both defensively and on serve receive have been what has been able to get us to help us get our offense back going again.
Yeah, a couple more things, Coach, before we get into this weekend. You talked about the losing streak, coming over, talking about the adversity. How do you, start out 4-0, then it got a little bit harder, but it also got, I know, frustrating to you and everybody, especially talking after the Bluefield match. I know you were frustrated. But it seems like they've turned the corner a little bit. I know we've talked off camera about some of the things you're doing, but how do you keep everybody focused? Because you run such a high, and then, it kind of flips, the script flips a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I think reminding them of what our goals were at the beginning of the year is really important. Some of the actual statistical goals, it is what it is, and if we don't perform, we don't perform. But one of the things that we wanted people to say about us as we were having this first year is we wanted them to be shocked that we were a first-year program, and I think we had built that reputation for ourselves. In even in some of our early losses against maybe an EMU and some really talented teams, people were still shocked that we were a first-year team. So I think bringing their focus back to, hey, remember we were trying to surprise people. We were trying to make them see, oh, wow, just because we are a first-year program, they're really working hard and being disciplined and, shocking people as we came into the gym. And I think that we had started to look like a first-year program for a little bit. So talking to them about that, and then also just asking for their feedback and what they feel like is going on the court, because we're off the court as their coaches and we can only see from an outside, but just talking to them kind of individually and letting them share what's going on mentally for them. And then after we talk about that, then we make a practical application and try and work on those things in the gym. And they've responded really well to those things. Like, we're giving them opportunities to work the things that they think they need to work on. And this week at practice, it's been great energy in the gym, great communication, great discipline. So I think that just reminding them what the standard is and what they wanted to do has helped them to stay mentally focused.
Yeah, and I think now when you do walk in the gym, they do look at you as, okay, Regent's coming in. It's going to be a tough one, and got a tough one this weekend.
Yeah.
Tri-match, literally, you can hear the cars on the interstate here, right down the road from us, our neighbor, Virginia Wesleyan. Times have been changed. We play at noon against Mount Aloysius, and then we've got Wesleyan, who's a very good team, at 2 o'clock at their place. So it's another opportunity for you to get in the win column and also face 2 good teams. Talk about that, get the fans out there.
Yeah, I was telling the boys yesterday at the end of practice that I'm extremely excited to go and play some good competition because we're seeing them do things now in the gym that they haven't been doing all year. So, we don't know. We never know when we step on the court if we're going to come out with a win, but I know that they're going to go out there extremely motivated to show people the team that they really are and take advantage of another opportunity to play. That's something else that we talked about. Like, you never know when it's going to be your last one. You never know when that injury is going to happen or when something is going to happen. Let's play every single time to glorify God, and that means playing to the best of our abilities and laying it all out there on the court every single time. So we are pumped to get back out there.
Well, it may not be a home game, but it's close enough.
Yeah.
It's actually closer than our home facility. Students are on spring break, but they'll be trickling in. There are some here on campus, so get out and go support them at Virginia Wesleyan. It's a quick drive over there. There should be some great volleyball. Then, last thing, Tuesday night, we're back home, St. Andrews. We'll talk about that game next week, but get out there as well. I think 6 o'clock on Tuesday night. Coach, thanks for joining us. It's been a busy week. We'll see you this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, go Royals.